What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again. And there's a saying, it goes a little something like this: never meet your heroes lest they be found wanting. This adage can be applied to writing as well. One of the most prolific examples of this would be the explanation of the Force in the Star Wars franchise. What had previously been this all-encompassing spiritual magic was reduced to little more than sentient microbial life. And in that moment, it was no longer a case of, in the Star Wars universe, if somebody worked hard, trained hard, studied hard, they too could become a powerful Force user. It was, if you won the genetic lottery and were born with a significant enough concentration of this microbial life, then you could become a master of the Force. This single explanation killed the mystery of one of the most significant aspects of the Star Wars franchise, and did so in such a catastrophically unsatisfactory way. Fans really didn't need to know how the Force worked, just that it did. And by answering that question, nothing was added to the universe. Something was taken away, and left the universe greatly diminished. Destiny has a similar problem. A former colleague of mine once, as an insult, tried to say that I was the killer of wonder, something I embraced as a joke and still do to this day, because the comment was made about the analytical way I've gone about deconstructing Destiny's lore, as one might any piece of writing, using literary terms and considerations to quantify and qualify any given piece of lore, instead of just mindlessly enjoying it as entertainment. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, don't get me wrong, everybody consumes and enjoys entertainment differently. But I digress. The point that I'm trying to make is, for me, what killed Destiny's wonder wasn't some guy on YouTube with a glorified hot take. It was Bungie. The in-game storytelling of Destiny has always been shaky, to say the least. For as far as the franchise has come since the days of Destiny 1 Year 1, Destiny's storytelling can still be fairly shallow, with all the hallmarks of a Hollywood movie set. Pretty on the outside, but there's nothing past the surface. The sole exception of this was the lore. In a lot of ways, Destiny's lore, specifically Destiny 1's lore, was very Lovecraftian. Here's all these mysteries like, what's the darkness? Who's the exo-stranger? Why does Shin Malphur have his memories? Who was Dredgenor? How do exos work? A lot of things were left unquantified for the community to speculate and theorize about and wonder about. And the sad truth about writing, whatever the fans come up with is going to be indefinitely better than what you as a writer come up with, because you're never going to be able to pay that mystery off. When we did get answers, they were either unsatisfactory, they were ludicrous, or they weren't replaced with anything else. Shin Malphur has his memories because he died as a baby and then was brought back, but then 3 seconds later his ghost died, allowing him to age into an adult. The exo-stranger is nothing more than Anna Bray's older sister, Elsie Bray, in that lame Hollywood, everything has to be connected to everything else sort of way, because I guess people can't quantify multiple relationships or things just existing. The Hive Worm gods went from this mythical, awesome, terrifying, Lovecraftian horror to a glorified strike boss that we dick down with a pointy stick.
I knew you could do it, Guardian. You saved Rasputin and Mars.
We couldn't have done it without you, Anna. Thanks for the assist.
And there's certainly hundreds more that we could reference. In fact, let me know in the comments below, what was your most disappointing revelation in Destiny lore? Maybe we'll do a video on that. And the worst part is, not that these answers or these reveals were disappointing. They were always going to be, that's just the nature of the beast. It's that they weren't replaced with anything else as Bungie spins its wheels, picking through what's left of Destiny lore to find something new to reveal to us. The tragedy of that, of course, is as they plunder the secrets of Destiny lore to hopefully engage us with some gasp, shock, awe revelation, they ignore anything that actually resembles forward-moving plot progression. Now, I know what you're thinking.
The Joker!
We've spent the last year preparing for the pyramid ships, like we've basically been doing since the end of Destiny 2. Realistically, in the grand scheme of things, Destiny's plot hasn't moved all that much forward since the end of Destiny 2. Yes, we've had Forsaken, people died, people were brought back to life, but realistically speaking, when it comes to the grand narrative of the light and the darkness, we're still waiting on those pyramid ships. And everything else has been a Monster of the Week detour until we get to Destiny 3. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Destiny 2's lore is bad. That would categorically be inaccurate. In fact, one of my favorite pieces of lore introduced into the entire franchise was introduced with Shadowkeep. It was the Book of the Unveiling. A series of lore entries where the darkness makes an argument for why it's right and the light is wrong. And to be honest, there's a lot of interesting stuff here, as it proposes a lot of really cool esoteric concepts. Take this lore entry, P53, for example. Thank you for making room in your life for another talking ball. Let me ask you a question. In the 3 billion base pairs of your root species genome, there's a single gene that codes for a protein called P53. The name is a mistake. The protein only weighs as much as 47,000 protons, not 53,000. If you were a cell, you would think P53 is a mistake too. It has several coercive functions: to delay the cell's growth, to sterilize the cell when it's old, and to force the cell into self-destruction if it becomes too independent. Would you tolerate a bomb in your body, waiting to detonate, if you deviated from the needs of society? However, without P53 as an enforcer, the body's utopian surplus of energy becomes a paradise for cancer. Cells cannot resist the temptation to steal from that surplus. Their genetic morality degrades as tumor suppressor genes fail. The only way to stop them is by punishment. You now confront the basic problem of morality. It is the alignment of individual incentives with the global need of the structure. Patterns will participate in a structure only if participation benefits their ability to go on existing. The more successful a structure grows, the more temptation accrues to cheat, and the greater the advantage the cheater gains over their honest neighbors, and the greater the ability they develop to capture the very laws that should prevent their selfishness. To prevent this, the structure must punish cheaters with a violence that grows in proportion to its own success. My question follows: is P53 an agent of the darkness or the light? That's just a really great thought experiment, and the Book of the Unveiling is filled with them, but I think the one that I'm about to read, because fuck it, why not, is probably my favorite. Your shoemaker philosopher was right, and it matters more than anything. Sorrow cannot survive death, and it cannot precede birth. Those who exist have moral worth. Those who do not have none. Think about it. Do you mourn the uncreated? Do you grieve for those who were never born, on a nation that never developed, around an ideology no one ever imagined, on a continent never formed? No. And from that self-evident truth, you must raise your eyes to the ultimate revelation. Those who cannot sustain their own claim to existence belong in the same moral category as those who never existed at all. Existence is the first and truest proof of the right to exist. Those who cannot claim and hold existence do not deserve it. This is the true and only divination, a game whose losers are not just forgotten, but were never born at all. That which cannot claim and hold existence is not real. You do not mourn the unreal. Why should you care for it? Tend it. Guard it. It was the gardener who chose you from the dead. I wouldn't have done that. It's just not in me. But now that they have invested themselves in you, you are incredibly, uniquely special. That wandering refugee chose to make a stand, spend their power to say, "Here I prove myself right. Here I wager that given power over physics and the trust of absolute freedom, people will choose to build and protect a gentle kingdom ringed in spears, and not fall to temptation, and not surrender to division, and never yield to the cynicism that says, everyone else is so good that I can afford to be a little evil." The gardener's all in. They're playing for keeps. And they are wrong. Or so I argue. After all, the universe is undecidable. There is no destiny. We're all making this up as we go along. Neither the gardener nor I know for certain that we're eternally, universally right. But we can be nothing except what we are. You have a choice. You are the gardener's final argument. It would mean everything if I could convince you that I am the right and only way. I truly value you. To the gardener, you're a means to an end. To me, you are majestic. Majestic. You are full of the only thing worth anything at all. I am, by the only standard that matters or will ever matter, the winning team. Existence is a test, most will fail. Would you not count yourself among the victorious few? Don't hurry to deliver your answer. I'll come over and hear it myself. See what I mean? I fucking love this book. I mean, in the same fucking passage, it makes one hell of an argument for Darkness Guardians. But at the same time, it goes, you turn over to my side, I win. It's the ultimate catch-22 because the darkness does lay out pretty definitively that the light is the one in the wrong here. However, if the light loses, we lose, and I like living. However, if we defeat the darkness, we prove that the darkness is essentially right. The darkness has set up a scenario where it's like, and that's so amazing because what we're ultimately fighting is an ideology. One that we basically have to utilize in order for us to continue surviving, thus proving the darkness's point. However, it does seem like there's a little bit of a caveat here because intentions matter. It's why the darkness is trying to sway us to its side. And that's where Darkness Guardians become this really interesting concept, because if people play Darkness Guardians, that means the darkness wins. That means the darkness's ideology of living organisms being selfish in a way where they go, well, everybody else is so good, I can be a little evil, comes into play. And this really puts into practice what Shin Malphur and Dredgen Yor were doing. Dredgen Yor needed to create Shin Malphur, and Shin Malphur needs to hunt guardians who would be tempted by darkness because of Dredgen Yor. Thus, the system punishes itself. Now, you might be wondering what any of this has to do with the death of mystery when it comes to Destiny lore. Well, I felt it was important to provide examples of things that I like, because I genuinely still like Destiny 2's lore. However, unlike with Destiny 1, where I'd be hard-pressed to find things that I didn't like, Destiny 2 is a hard 75-25% split. 75% of the lore, absolutely love it. 25% of it, it's lies, it's fan fiction, it's stuff that we already know presented again to us just in a different way. It's retcons, and it's the death of wonder. The worst atrocity in terms of Destiny storytelling would not be for the game to end with unanswered questions. Unanswered questions are great for the lore. It lets people theorize, it lets people debate, it lets people come up with their own answers. No, the worst thing that could ever happen to Destiny's storytelling is that everything gets answered, and it's all disappointing. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more and hit that bell notification. Donate to my Patreon if you're feeling generous. But above all else, stay frosty.